The dust kicked up by my sandals was a testament to the fire in my heart. Each step on the road to Damascus was a step fueled by a burning, righteous anger. I was Saul of Tarsus, a Pharisee of Pharisees, a zealous defender of the faith of my fathers. And in my eyes, this new sect, this way, as they called themselves, was a cancer, a blasphemous corruption that needed to be cut out. The followers of this Jesus of Nazareth were spreading like a plague, their whispers of a resurrected Messiah undermining the very foundations of our sacred traditions. I had seen them with my own eyes in Jerusalem, their conviction unshakable, their love for one another confounding. It wasn't just heresy. It was a threat, and I was the instrument chosen by God to stop it. I clutched the letters from the high priest in my satchel. They were my authority, my license to hunt. With these documents, I could enter the synagogues of Damascus, drag out men and women alike, bind them, and bring them back to Jerusalem for trial and punishment. The thought of their faces, twisted in fear as I burst through their doors, brought a grim satisfaction. I was doing God's work. I was purifying our people. The sun beat down on my neck. The journey was long, but my purpose was a cool, clear spring in the desert of my soul. I imagined the arguments I would have, the way I would dismantle their twisted logic with my knowledge of the law and the prophets. How could a man, crucified as a common criminal, be the long-awaited king? It was ludicrous, an offense to God himself. My companions, men equally committed to our cause, walked with me. We spoke of our mission, our voices firm with conviction. The world was a simple place of black and white, right and wrong. We were on the side of right, and these followers of the way were dangerously, irrevocably wrong. Every town we passed through was a reminder of the infection we were heading to contain. We were the physicians, and the surgery would be swift and decisive. I had already presided over the death of Stephen, their first martyr. I had held the cloaks of those who cast the stones, my heart hardening with each thud against his body. I heard his final words, a prayer for his own murderers. Folly, I thought. Weakness. True strength was in upholding the law, without compromise, without mercy. The city of Damascus was now a faint smudge on the horizon. My pace quickened. The anticipation was a knot in my stomach. Soon, this unpleasant but necessary business would be over. The journey had been arduous, but the finality of our mission was in sight. We were perhaps a day's journey away, the midday sun hanging directly overhead, relentless and unforgiving. The air was still heavy with heat. The landscape shimmered, and the silence of the road was broken only by our footsteps and the occasional cry of a distant bird. My mind was already in Damascus, planning my first move, picturing the synagogue leaders who would assist me. I was so lost in my thoughts of righteous conquest that I barely noticed the change. It began as a flicker, a brightness that outshone the sun itself. I shielded my eyes, confused. A storm? On a cloudless day? But this was no storm. The light wasn't just bright, it was alive. It was a searing, pure, impossible radiance that erupted from the heavens and enveloped me completely. It was more than light. It was a physical force. It threw me from my feet, slamming me onto the hard, dusty ground. The world vanished into a white-hot blaze. I was blind, deaf, and utterly powerless. My body trembled. Every ounce of my self-assuredness vaporized in an instant. The righteous anger, the zealous fire, was extinguished, replaced by a cold, primal fear unlike anything I had ever known. Then, through the ringing in my ears, a voice. It wasn't a shout, yet it resonated through my very bones, shaking the foundations of my soul. It was a voice of immense power, yet laced with a sorrow that broke my heart. "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" The words were not in my ears, but in my mind, in my spirit. They were as clear as if whispered directly into my soul. My companions were frozen. They heard a sound, but couldn't understand the words. For me, it was a direct address. I lay there, dust on my lips, blinded and terrified, and I managed to stammer a single question, the only one that mattered. "Who are you, Lord?" The question was a surrender. In that moment, all my learning, my status, my mission, it all meant nothing. I was a child in the face of an incomprehensible power. The reply came, gentle yet absolute, and it shattered my world into a million pieces. "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting." Jesus, the name I had spat with contempt, the leader of the cult I was so determined to destroy. The crucified blasphemer. He was alive. He was here. He was this blinding light, this voice of cosmic authority. The irony was so immense, so crushing, it stole the air from my lungs. I was not fighting against a sect of misguided peasants. I was fighting against God himself. Every step toward Damascus had been a step against the very one I claimed to serve. My righteousness was filthy rags. My zeal was pure arrogance. The stones I had approved for Stephen had been thrown at this voice, at this glorious light. The people I was hunting were his people. The one I persecuted was the Lord. The shame was a physical weight, pressing me into the earth. I saw my life's work for what it was, a violent rebellion against heaven. The voice continued, its purpose now clear. "Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." The command was simple. All my plans, my letters of authority, were now just scraps of paper. A new path was laid before me, not one of my choosing, but one given by the very Lord I had opposed. When the light faded, the world returned, but not for me. I opened my eyes, but there was only darkness. Utter, complete blackness. The brilliant light that had revealed the truth to my soul had taken the sight from my eyes. My companions, their faces pale with shock and fear, helped me to my feet. I, who had been their confident leader, was now a blind, helpless man, leaning on their shoulders for support. They led me by the hand into Damascus. The city I had intended to enter as a conqueror, I now entered as a broken, sightless pilgrim. Every step was an act of humility. The arrogant Pharisee was gone. The zealous persecutor was dead. In his place was a trembling, blind man, waiting for a word from a Lord he had just met. For 3 days, I remained in that darkness. I did not eat or drink. The physical blindness was a constant, terrifying reminder of the spiritual blindness I had lived in for so long. It was a period of intense, silent communion. The anger and pride were stripped away layer by layer. In the silence and the dark, I replayed the voice, the light. I saw the faces of those I had harmed. I wept not for my lost sight, but for my lost soul, now so unexpectedly found. The Lord I had hated was the Lord who had shown me mercy. He had stopped me, not with vengeance, but with a question. He had struck me blind, not to destroy me, but to make me see. On that road, I lost my sight, my mission, my identity, and my pride. But in its place, I was given a new name, a new purpose, and a grace so profound it would redefine the rest of my life. My journey to Damascus was not the end of a rebellion, as I had planned. It was the beginning of my salvation. It was the moment Saul the persecutor died, so that Paul the apostle could be born. And that journey which began in hatred became the first step on a new road, one that would take me to the ends of the earth, proclaiming the name of Jesus, the very one I had set out to destroy. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more content that explores the profound journeys of faith.